I just like to, get an impression of, paint an impression of what I see. And so this is Vermont. This is Maine. And mostly I paint from my own photographs, but sometimes I lift some from Facebook or whatever. This is Maine, and this is a pond in Medford, Mass. My son lives in Medford, and he sends pictures. And this is a little plein air piece that I did on Saturday with the Franklin Watercolor Association. We sat in a member's backyard.
I love the roof.
And he had lots of flowers and a shed and whatever. So anyway.
So you got in touch with somebody then?
I did. Yeah, it's a pretty large. This group happens to be involved with lifelong learning. And the teacher was there. But they dabble in lots of different medias.
We have 5 people watching now.
All right.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So when I plan a watercolor, I do a sketch, and then I do a value sketch over that, or I redraw it, and most of the time I'll do it with, it's always done with one color, black or burnt sienna or whatever. And you catch the mid values and try to connect them. This sounds familiar to everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. I don't want to bore you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I redraw it on the watercolor paper. And my paintings go in 3 or 4 stages. And the first stage is dropping in, getting rid of the white, except for what you want to leave snow white. You get rid of the white paper because it's just too distracting. So. So you do that with a lot of water, a little bit of paint. So let me do that first. And I usually work from the top down.
Should we be following you while you're doing this, or what do you?
If you want to. Do you want to? You can. So you don't use a lot of paint. It's like tea. Have you heard that before?
Oops, sorry. So,
Tea, milk, cream, yogurt. You heard that? Okay, first stage is tea, and so it's mostly water and some paint. So I used cerulean blue and cobalt and a little cobalt teal. I love cobalt teal. I'm going to do this. I'm going to use, and my triad that I'm using is cobalt teal, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about when I say triad. Okay. You can introduce other colors too, but your main colors are those 3. Any 3, any red, white, any red, blue, and yellow, as long as the paints are transparent, you can go for. So,
Luke, do you see the comments in there? Can you kick the exposure up a little so it's a little less dark?
Do you want, well, it depends. Do you want the painting to be exposed correctly, or do you want her to be exposed?
The painting's more important.
painting
The
probably.
is exposed correctly. She's dark, but the painting is exposed.
Okay.
I can bump it if you want, but you might
No.
lose that detail. Do you want to try?
I don't know, it looks fine to me. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I'll let Dennis know that. You are exposing to the crimson.
So just blocking in. Let's see here. Do you want this? Burnt sienna. And this dries 30% lighter, so you don't have to worry. So let's mix a little green. When you mix your greens, it's good to just use one blue, and then you can go from there. Yellows, oranges, burnt sienna, neutral tint, whatever, to get a variety of greens, but use the same blue. It's just a lot easier. Makes for more of a harmonious painting, I think, too.
Cerulean blue is the one that you're using?
He's using teal.
Teal?
Oh,
Which one which one is the blue you're using?
to do the greens, I'm using Cobalt teal.
Cobalt teal.
Yeah.
And for the sky, you use
Oh,
cerulean?
I usually mix cerulean and one of the blues, Cobalt or,
Mine's gonna be wild.
It's pretty though, the way that it's setting up.
okay, so we get this. So pretty much covered up the white of the paper. Didn't want that to be that green, but it's all right. This has got a little orange in it. Looks like a fall scene. Are you familiar with Tony Van Hasselt? He's from Maine. He's a wonderful painter. Actually, I took this picture like 30 years ago. I took his class up in New Hampshire. And at that time, I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was overwhelmed, but he's a wonderful painter and a really nice guy. Okay, so this is going to dry lighter, and we're going to do, let's see. Need to- Where do I want that?
Ruth, can you maybe zoom in a little?
Yep.
I'm probably going too fast for everybody who's painting.
They're experts.
Figure it out.
Okay,
We got 7 people now.
oh, that's nice. Okay, this is good. We got the light coming from the right. Now, coming from behind the house. So, let's see. We've got a little shade here. Yeah. Coming from the left rear, I guess. Anyway, wing it. Okay. First stage. Now, I let it dry. Might have to use the hair dryer.
Yeah, we forgot.
Speed it up. Although, okay,
Extension code?
where's my- Fill that in too. Okay, so then you gotta let the first stage dry. And don't worry about making it look like trees and a rooftop. Just let the colors run together.
Yep.
As they dry 30% lighter, you're just getting rid of the white of the paper. Okay, so second stage is more paint, less water. First stage, it was more water than paint. Second stage, you're going to start blocking in your shapes. So, let's see here. It's pretty good. Looking at houses and rooftops and bushes and trees, we're looking at shapes. If you can train yourself to look at your subject as a series of shapes, you're going to be more successful quicker. I should have, let's see. I'm going to do this mountain. I forgot about this mountain. I like to pop it in here. Okay. So it's also good to use the biggest brush you got for like the first hour. Use a big brush. And then you zero in on, when you're zeroing in on your details, you of course go to smaller brushes. But this is supposed to be fun. People have said to me, isn't it relaxing to do watercolor? I said, not really.
As a beginner, it is very relaxing.
Is it?
Because you don't know any of the rules, you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, so you have
Well, that's
fun
true.
doing whatever you're doing.
So did you go to the Abbey?
Mhm.
How was it?
It was beautiful,
I bet it was.
beautiful afternoon.
Very windy.
Yeah,
Oh, was it?
thank God, because it was a nice cool breeze. We will probably going back if you want to come next time.
It's just a little far for me.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So it's starting to look like something now. Everybody's concentrating. Paper towel here. It got a little dark here, a little early, but that's okay. It'll be fine. Block in this tree over here. Got crazy there. This roof here.
The people who are watching are saying that it would help if you gave little details about what you were doing, so that they could paint along with you.
Okay, so in the second stage, you try to let the colors mingle together. Don't have too many sharp edges. I mean, you have to have some, but especially in the case of the foliage, you want the colors to come together in certain places, which adds interest and keeps your painting looking spontaneous.
Someone's looking around something, they don't.
So where's my image here? So when I paint, I work all around the whole picture. I try not to get too detailed in the second stage in any one place. But at the same time, you're defining a little more in the second phase and sharpening it up. So let's see here. Let's put some flowers on the porch.
Luke, you said that helped a lot.
What's that?
It's just zooming in a bit more. Dennis, how's you on his TV screen now? You are on TV.
Bigger than life.
That's the first time since I was in the 5th grade.
Boomtown? Boomtown?
No, I forget what it was.
Big Brother Ball. Captain Bob. Then there was Bozo.
That was way too long ago.
Howdy doody.
Okay, I'm blocking in this porch is in the shade, not in the shadow, but it's in the shade, so I have to indicate that. And we got a window here. I'm going to use a flat brush. Lock that in. Okay, let's do this window up here. The window on the second floor, we're going to keep it, drop a little blue in it, there's gray. And let's see. I'm going to make the roof on the house on the right a gray. One of the easiest grays to make is using ultramarine blue and burnt sienna.
Dennis is sending pictures of you on TV.
So let's, I don't know. Tiles. Okay. So you want to be careful to stay away from what is still wet in the second stage. But I've got another area I can work in here.
Do you do a lot of architectural paintings?
Well, now that I'm close to Boston,
Blue.
I've done a few Boston pieces
Oh, I-
with some buildings in the background, but there's a lot to paint in Boston. My son and I went on a picture-taking venture one day last fall, and I got a lot of pictures.
There's a lot of reflections in the glass.
Oh, yeah, on the common.
Yeah. Oh, the common's beautiful,
Yeah, I'll say.
especially in the spring.
Right. Okay, let's put a little purple in this shadow. It's for fun. So have you had other watercolorists demo for you?
Not for a while.
Our year got cut short last year because of the pandemic.
We had alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had alcohol ink.
We had mono printing.
We tried to,
Oil painted portraits with Carol Arnold.
we tried to diversify because we have a very eclectic group.
Mm.
Are you Feral?
That's Carol.
Carol?
Carol,
No, I'm looking for Feral Smith.
No,
No, I
No
don't
Feral Smith here?
No,
no.
I don't think that's a member. The name doesn't sound familiar.
It's one of the plaques in the Sutton Mill. It says Feral Smith artist. I don't know who it is.
Oh,
Okay.
Farrell.
Feral, yeah,
No,
like
I don't know.
a feral cat. like
She was a member at one time.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't even sure if it was she. Feral could be a man's name too.
She actually painted a picture of the Manchar post office
Inside or outside?
outside. She put it in the Small Stones Festival.
Oh,
So Carol, you were saying that you actually done some playing there at the Watson Farm at some stage, did you?
Yep, that one though was in Jamestown, Rhode Island.
Another one at Watson Farm off Sutton Street, you said you.
Yeah, well, I thought that's where you were, was in Jamestown, but I don't know where the one in Sutton is.
Huh? You just go over the five road crossroads, it's just on your left there. I thought you said you were.
Yeah, I did, but I thought you were in Jamestown. I had the wrong one.
Ah,
I don't usually paint upright like this, so.
now you're adding more detail, darker?
I prop my paintings up, but just about like this.
Okay.
do you want a different stand? Because I have another stand here.
If she puts it down too long, nobody will be able to see.
Yeah, this is fine.
Should you dry your paintings or just paint while it's still wet?
You dry in between each stage, or you're apt to get mud if you don't, if you're not careful.
Are you on the third stage now or still
No.
on the second?
Well, sort of in between while I'm letting it dry.
How many people watching?
Wow.
You're gonna be a star.
Can they comment who they are?
Yep, they're saying things. That's why we were zooming in and doing stuff, is because they were giving us
Good.
feedback. And Dennis has it up on his TV, so he's got the whole giant version of it.
Oops.
Should we continue with the large brush, or should we go smaller now that we're working on more
Well,
detail? I see you still have a large one.
Yeah, it's got a nice point on it, so I don't want to get tight too early.
Thank you.
Oh, Deborah Walker says to count her, now we've got 11.
Wow.
Do you have a house full?
No, I mean, the total count is 11. Deborah Walker just wants to be counted amongst the watchers.
One of them's me as well, he says.
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose technically one is me too, so.
And I think Carol's actually watching as well, so.
Excellent.
So how do you see them?
Well, I've got my laptop.
Through these future machines.
Oh, okay. Got a little.
Yep, since I can't see around the corner, I'm watching the laptop version of you.
Okay.
All right, so we're going light to dark, is that the direction of this?
Definitely.
Okay.
In watercolors, you work light to dark. In oils, you work dark to light, right? In oils, you work dark to light. In watercolor, it's light to dark.
It's kind of difficult, I think, for most watercolors to go dark enough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It's kind of difficult for most watercolors to have the nerve to go dark enough.
That's true, they don't.
Because once that's on there, you're pretty well
They
stuck.
don't. And I have to, a lot of times I'll just put the painting away for a day or two and then come back and say, oh, I need to add more darks. It looks anemic. And when you do that, it comes to life. Makes a huge difference.
Right, so Frank Robertson says, could you please explain what mud is and how to avoid making it and how to fix it if you do create it?
Try again is how you fix it. If you work with a triad, you're less apt to create mud. If you mix like a red, yellow, and a blue, you can get all different grays from light to dark. As long as your paints are transparent, you're going to avoid mud. Yeah, getting a handle on color is not easy. Fortunately, with watercolor, your values are more important. Every painting has to have light, medium, and dark values to be successful. It doesn't make any difference what colors you use.
Okay.
If you get the values correctly, you're good to go. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely,
sounds good.
yes.
But it's hard. So if you love it enough, you're going to keep coming back to it and keep trying. So this is pretty light, pretty dry, yeah.
Libya's very good with the values.
Oh, please, thank you very much, but no. I wish. I remember once John told me, maybe your values are all over the place. I said, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Yeah.
Then he introduced us in the box box exercise. It's like you make. You're supposed to make down here the background. No, the ground, the floor, the ground, and then here are the walls, and the sky is up here. But you just use one color.
Right.
Then the sky, the medium has to be like darker here and goes lighter toward the center.
For the distance, yeah.
And then, because this is a little square here, and goes the diagonals, and then these are your mediums that goes there, like trees going there. This is the darker closer to you and goes lighter to the horizon, and the same with the sky. That the top is really dark, and then that's really helps with your values. That's a difficult exercise, but really helps.
It makes it more common sense.
Yes.
Yeah, your greatest details in and around the focal region,
Uh-huh.
and much less detail and lighter colors
It's something like
will send the eye back.
Then this is the ground. These are the trees here go from darker to lighter. And this is the sky, darker here and goes lighter here. Darker here and goes lighter here. But then somehow has to be going in this direction. Make that box is the most difficult thing. Shoe box or something you call it, I can't remember.
So Kathy says, are there particular types and brands of brushes you prefer and why?
I like to start out with a large round brush, or if the painting is pretty good size, I like this Hake brush. You could do a whole painting with one of these.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever watched Steve Cronin. I don't know if I think he's British, not Australian. I can never have to really listen carefully, but he does a whole painting with one of these.
Do you remember
And
what brand that
he's a
was?
it's a Hake.
Oh, okay.
I think it's Ron Ranson from Cheap Joe's, and it's a cheap brush. It's probably like $3 for this. Here's a wider. Here's a
The one I have, it keeps losing
broader
hair.
one. Huh?
The one I had kept losing the hair.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
That cheap.
These are great. Ron Ranson, Hake brush. But anyway, so I always start out with a larger brush, and if I don't use a Hake, I use a large round.
Now, that looks like an Asian brush. Is that an Asian brush?
Uh-huh.
Who makes this? Raphael, I think. I don't have any sable brushes. They're squirrel or synthetic, and they work just fine. But you need a couple of flat brushes as well. You need a rigger, which is this, to fine lines. Use one of these?
Yeah, I forgot to bring my big brush.
Oh,
I just grabbed whatever I found.
it's just, I've got a lot of brushes that I never use. You know, as you work with them, you have your favorites. So it still looks like a mess. But hopefully when I'm done, it won't look like a mess. Down the road here.
So I suppose if you do make mud, to get back to Frank's mud question, is there a way to erase it up off the paper?
No,
or should you
start
just
over.
Get another piece of
Yeah.
paper and
Start
fill it?
over.
Okay.
Don't waste your time.
Okay.
Have you ever used
That's
the
my thought.
Mr. Muscle sponge to take it off?
Oh, Mr. Clean Magic Sponge?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't paint without
with that.
that, because you can take it right back to the white paper and let it dry and start over.
If your paper's thick enough.
Did you work on one for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm trying to plug in some dark values here.
Frank says, I believe using a cool color moves the image to the background.
What'd you say?
Say it again?
I believe using a cool color moves the image to the
A-
background.
Absolutely, if you keep it light. If you keep it light. I mean, you can put some dark accents in there, but if it's too intense, if the value is too dark, it's going to come forward. But definitely, cools go back, warm colors come forward.
But you would think that it would be the opposite way, wouldn't you? Because your eye goes to the lightest part, and the rest. We wear dark clothes to minimize and brighter clothes, lighter colors to enhance, right? Like if you.
Right, but you're,
Yeah.
how can I explain that?
Oh, I can see it just from looking at your painting with that light part. You've got your box going there. That light part in the middle is the light part and the dark part is the
Mhm.
outsides of the box coming into it. Plus you have the buildings facing it, pointing at it, so that works good.
See, this area in shadow is going to come forward. Well, no, it's going to make the lighter colors come forward, and the shadowy shapes are going to go back.
Right.
Depends on what you're doing. And your lightest lights and darkest darks are in your focal area. Does that make sense? Who was it that took Rob O'Brien's class? You?
I did,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, very realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Step by step.
Yeah. He just won a prize, another prize.
I did a portrait, did he?
Yeah, he does portraits. Is that what class you took?
No, it was landscape,
Oh,
in which he did and also he did what he said it was a still life, but it was a door. And it had
oh yeah,
2 ears of corn
right.
hanging ornamental on the door. He does big florals too.
Oh my gosh, his flowers are absolutely beautiful, aren't they? Yeah, he's a master.
What's his name?
Rob O'Brien, he lives in Vermont. In
He does come down sometime.
Is that still one of those places we can't go anymore?
right, they don't want you.
Nobody wants us.
Rhode Island doesn't want.
It's okay, because we don't want them.
Exactly.
So there.
To quote in the song, Indiana wants me. Why can't I go back there? Remember that one? No. So you youngsters don't remember that. R. Dean Taylor.
Never heard of it.
You wanna sing it?
No. Indiana wants me. Go back there.
Oh, boy, I don't like that.
Okay.
Remember it? See?
So did you do.
Makes me think of Oklahoma.
I was on the radio on Sunday morning.
You were?
WCRN.
Ooh.
second interview with them, discussing education in the Blackstone Valley.
Oh, wow. Nice.
The guy thought it was from New Zealand.
Close enough.
Okay,
Over the sea.
let's do this.
I've never listened to AM radio, but I had to listen to that one.
Did it come in?
Yeah, it's there. It's okay. It's apparently it's a really big radio station.
I don't know if there's a really big AM radio station. Just throwing it out there.
Hey.
It's a 50 kilowatt radio station. How about that?
Alright.
Which is pretty big.
Okay. Fair enough.
So Frank Robertson suggests to avoid making mud, make one of the primary colors dominant. Adding a dominant primary to a muddy image will undo the muddy appearance.
Hey, thank you.
Say again, what is the name?
Oh, yeah?
He says to
Okay.
avoid making mud, make one of the primary colors dominant. Adding a dominant primary to a muddy image will undo the muddy appearance.
Sounds like I'm making money.
Yeah, well, as long as they're transparent, it could work.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I don't like that. Get rid of that. Wow, what is that?
He's going to play the song for us. Have a musical
Is that your
interlude.
Indiana song?
See, Luke, they don't make it like that anymore.
No, they sure don't.
Great.
Yeah, but now YouTube's going to hit us with a copyright violation
Thinking
for
the same thing.
0.2 seconds.
What is that?
I'm liking the way your painting's coming out.
So what drew you to paint this scene?
It's a picture I took years ago, and I always liked it. I just hadn't gotten around to it.
I like your painting better than the picture.
Well, isn't that always true? Yeah. Photographs serve a purpose, of course. So let's see if we can do this. You have to take your time. If you rush, you're apt to be less successful, I think. I find that to be the case for me.
Oh, I think the benefit of the video is people who are watching it when it replays can hit pause and then go wait for it to dry and then hit start again and then work on something.
That's true. Just try to look at your image as a series of shapes, and all through the painting. You know, not what it really is, but just a series of adjacent and overlapping shapes, and it'll come together. It's amazing.
Not always easy to see.
No.
That's why we take classes. To train the eyes. To see.
Do you watch YouTube videos of what other watercolor artists? There's a lot of them out there, and
Yeah.
and they're some are not so good, but a lot of them are wonderful, and they talk through it, and I've learned a lot by watching those. Oops. Okay, let's bump this up a little, make it more interesting. That should be warm. So I'm in the third stage now, dropping in darks. Not darkest darks necessarily, but darks.
And do you primarily make your darks warm?
No.
No.
I like neutral tint, and I mix it with other colors to get a dark if I need to. But it comes at the very end, of course. Let's do this. And try to connect your darks as much as you can. Do this.
Is this your first time painting this scene, or have you practiced on this one before?
I painted it yesterday, but this isn't going to look like what I painted yesterday. 'Cause
There's no way you could ever make two the same,
no,
especially with watercolor.
right. You wouldn't want to. That's what makes it so exciting, I think.
Do you usually paint your paintings like an all in one long go, or do you do it like one
No,
day
I
and then-
paint in my kitchen. My studio's upstairs in the smaller bedroom, but it's been hot. So I bring everything down and put it on the island in the kitchen, and so it's pretty convenient to paint a while and then come back and look at it, paint some more and go away. That seems to work for me.
That's actually my favorite place to paint.
Is it the kitchen?
Of course, my family's gonna die because there's pastel dust behind every.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are you going on the 26th? Now that's one where we bring your own thing.
Well, she's gonna, I think we're supposed to,
What's happening on the 25th?
it's a pastel demo.
Oh, that's cool.
Over here,
Hmm?
over here?
Over here, she said.
No.
Well, see, I wrote to her and I said, do you ever put, I'm thinking about a scene with a person. And I said, do you ever do people put a look on her work? And, she said she used to, but she doesn't anymore, but if I wanna add one, that's fine. But then I wrote that afterwards and I said, look, I found a different scene that I wanna do and it has trees, trees and then there's a house in the background. So that's what I'm hoping to do, picture. And then have her, her style. I wanna do it in her style.
Yeah, she's nice and loose.
Yeah, well, and she's, you know, I'm a wiggle squiggle girl. She's straight, very abstracty.
She wins lots of prizes.
But I guess if we're warming up for the three little ones, that way we would copy her on that.
I didn't read through the thing, so I'll do that next week.
Yeah, she's asking us to bring a lot of things that we wonder about. Magic marker, black ink.
Yeah, that's the you need like Chinese ink.
Yeah,
What the heck does she do with
I
that?
don't know. We'll find out. And we're doing it on UArt.
How many people in your art guild, in your art association?
90, 100?
It waxes and wanes.
So I told Frank that he had to draw my house for me next time because I'm very not good at drawing houses. And he says,
Oh, he's good at that.
Yep, he said, remember, you're not painting the photograph. You need to paint what you love and feel for the subject. So I must love the houses.
That's true. Yeah, there's no sense in painting something that you don't care about, that you can't relate to or doesn't excite you. I can't do it.
So it seems like you like to paint a lot of lighthouses and houses and things.
I like to have a structure in a landscape,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's minor or plays an important role. But I like to put people in my paintings too.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to go with the happy accidents too. I think. I rely on those. And if it's not working, I put it under the faucet.
Really? So you just wash it away?
Hmm. If you have good paper, you can get away with that.
We had a demo at the Franklin Art Association one time, and the woman had done I thought was a beautiful painting.
Uh-huh.
She didn't like it. She had put it in her bathtub
Oh, yeah.
and taken a comb and gone over it must have been like 300 weight paper. Went
Oh,
over the
sure.
whole thing with the comb, and she turned it into a rainy scene because where she went with the comb, it looked like it was raining. It was amazing.
Did she do
The
that
painting that,
in front of the group?
no, she had done it at
I'm
home.
gonna do that with
Wow,
this.
good for her.
That was gutsy because it was like almost a full sheet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was like an English scene, and there was lamp posts all over the place. I mean, it was a beautiful painting.
That sounds
Mm,
interesting.
nice.
Keep that in mind.
It's funny, what moves me one day, I could care less about
The next.
another day.
Well, that picture that you have, that's the very first one on the floor, if you flip that over, it's got a pink house, or, you know, the first one. Well, that's the last one.
This one.
That one, yeah.
That's in Shrewsbury, Vermont, coming away from Rutland.
Well, I love the colors.
Now, is the roof actually that color, or did you take artistic?
It is.
It is, yeah.
Maybe not quite as bright, but yeah. Yeah.
It really makes it stand out in the landscape.
Doesn't it? And I love the laundry on the line. That's why I did it.
Yes.
As much as a pain in the neck it is to hang out the laundry, a lot of people like laundry in the paintings.
I've sold so many laundry paintings over the years. Lots and lots. So it's starting to look like something.
Wow, beautiful.
Nice.
And it's, you know, it's those dark darks that brings it along.
Yeah, pops it out.
But I said before, I've never done this before, so that's why I painted it yesterday. I kind of wanted to know where I was going. So you can just go crazy with the foliage, you know, make it, I think, keep it loose.
Now, when you paint with oil paints in the foliage, they put the sky holes in last. Do you leave white spots where you want your sky holes?
If I think it needs it, I use Chinese white
Oh, okay.
and drop them in at the end. Yeah. So, got to give this building a little more personality here. And I should probably go to a smaller brush.
Do you have a particular type of paper you like to paint on?
I typically use Arches 140 pound.
Okay.
300 pounds is a little expensive for me. I teach at the Norfolk Senior Center, so I go through a lot of paper. You know, I'll paint, I send the subject to them via email, and then I do my homework and I do a value sketch and I paint it so that they can see the finished painting when I get there. And then I paint it again with them.
That's great. Is it hard to get the exact same painting to come out?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's always different, which makes it, and one is typically better than the other, which is okay.
Now, do you get a grant for doing that, or?
They have a grant, so if you're a resident of Norfolk, you only pay half the fee, and the grant pays me the rest. I think that's the case in Franklin, too. I think they have a grant. I don't think people have to pay anything.
Who teaches there? Do you
I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, what's his name used to teach there? Avons used to teach there.
Okay, so in this last stage, you just want to sharpen it up and drop in your darks, and so, and then all of a sudden it comes alive if you stick with it. It works. Not always. Do a lot of squinting. So let's see, we can liven this up a little bit.
Do you do your pastels? Do you fix it with spray?
I use the spray if it gets too, if it goes or gets away from me and I wanna fix it. I use the spray, but it's like using a brand new piece of paper. Like if you get mud or whatever, you're laying it up or whatever. We went to a thing on Saturday and the lady says she sprays hers before she frames them.
I was in the world on Saturday. I went into my art.
So shadows.
And this pastel, and it was 6 feet high by 3 feet wide, and it's all black, but this is trees, and then there's this area where this beautiful gold light is coming through it. And as soon as you walk in on the right wall, it's like, wow, it's so black, and I said, that looks like Cobalt. It's so dark, and you know, I don't think there's, you know, he's one of the elders, so it's his turn to watch the show. So I went over and I went like this. I'm marking my finger with this charcoal. It was pastel on real art, as it was on sandpaper, that big, right?
There was no glass in it?
No. And it came off on my finger. And so then I go to the gold part.
It's
And
not
I go up on the hook just a little bit. And it came off. I said, this is
Let that dry.
you know? Once you used to turn it off.
Okay.
That place must have been wherever she was doing because it was black. And, so how the heck did she put that in a truck and then hang it without making a mess of yourself? She did not spray it.
Why wasn't there any glass in it?
$5,400 on the price tag.
It's gonna cost you that much to put the glass on. You can't leave it without glass.
She should have at least sprayed it to fix it.
Was it framed? Oh.
No, it's on a big piece of wood, and then they somehow affixed sandpaper to it. And they just must have chewed up a bunch of chalk. I wish I had taken a picture of it. I took a picture of something else there, but I didn't take a picture of that. Because it was like at the end of the whole thing, and when I went over and I touched it. Kept looking at it, but I didn't have the nerve to touch it.
The person's really taking a chance not protecting you.
It's already came and
Somebody could trip and land into it.
this is one of the other pictures that was on the wall. This is 2 men, 2 women.
Water's getting dirty. Dirty.
can see it's the whole wall. It's a painting, look at the top of his head. Oh,
Oh, Franklin says that, Frank Robertson says Franklin has grants, but members do pay member due fees and entry fees. I think he must be thinking about the,
She was talking about the
Art
senior center.
Association, yeah. Yeah.
What, what does he say about it?
He's talking about the Art Association, I think,
Ye-
that they have member dues and entry fees. Oh, so she's talking about the senior center.
I mean, they meet at the senior center. but-
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna be doing their meeting Zoom, by Zoom also.
Yep. So do you tend to always paint in a realistic style, or do you abstract sometimes?
No, I don't like abstract painting. I don't care for it. Not my thing. Got to have something recognizable in what I do. I have a sister-in-law that does these huge canvases that's totally abstract, beautiful colors, and she sells them.
Is she in Vermont also?
Nope, she's in British Columbia.
Oh,
She's originally from Iceland. And within, I don't know, a year or two ago, she had some dealer from Iceland that gave her a check for $50,000 and took all of her inventory back to Iceland to sell it. So you know it must be good. I've seen several of her things. And they're beautiful. But they need to add on to their house.
well, like a place like Boston where they have those big loft apartments, you need a big,
Yeah.
New York also, I mean, they
Yeah,
sell a
you
lot
do.
of those big pieces.
well, I'm thinking about the terrain in Iceland, which has no trees and lagoon, but you didn't see the aurora because it was cloudy.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. This gal's a professor at the University of Iceland. Yeah. So I like to splatter too. Splattering's good. You don't want to do too much, but anyway, I'll go home and sharpen this up a little bit. It's hard to do it here.
Okay, can you turn it around just so I can see? Oh, wow. Beautiful.
I don't think it needs anything.
You don't? Yeah, well, you know, you got to be careful because you don't want to tighten it up too much or it loses its,
Watercolor teal.
yeah. Right. Okay, so maybe this tree is hanging over the roof a little bit, maybe.
Just got a LinkedIn message from a Ludo meeting, so it's not you.
Vitamin A.
So the painting I did yesterday, I put a woman and her dog in it, but you don't have
A
to.
woman and a dog, where?
Woman and her dog, the one I did yesterday.